we will have Joshua in our country in February. Then there is the big fight, one of the greatest fights
in the world. Like, you can't sit around and wait for Fury. The Usyk fight is not materializing, and I don't think any fans want to see that. So, in a way, this could be Joshua's final fight or final meaningful fight. It's going to happen in 5 weeks.
That there's a huge opportunity for enormous amounts of money to be generated around a fight that really has no integrity behind it in terms of as a fight, but in terms as a media spectacle and entertainment opportunity.
So what's your take? Are these files only the surface layer, or is something even bigger still buried in the dark? Share your thoughts in the comments, because this discussion is far from finished just yet.
And Anthony Joshua this year, do you think?
As a fan, of course, I want
to see it.
Do you personally
want to see it?
Yeah, as a fan, but you need first of all to be sure they are focused.
Eddie Hearn, who has handled Joshua's career for years, addresses the matter with both confidence and restraint. He insists that any major move involving Joshua should fit within the strategic plans developed alongside Turki Alalshikh, the influential force who has transformed the global boxing scene. Hearn views Alalshikh as the gateway to delivering massive events, especially the long-awaited showdown between Joshua and Tyson Fury. In his opinion, every step Joshua takes should connect to a larger vision, not a sudden diversion driven by social media noise. Although Hearn doesn't ignore the financial pull of the Joshua-Paul fight, he stresses that major business demands proper planning, not spur-of-the-moment publicity.
Fight was first mentioned by Jake Paul. I kind of laughed and thought that'd be nice, wouldn't it? And then, meetings with His Excellency last week, who I think realises the commercial size of that fight and that opportunity. So if Jake Paul was mad enough to do it, I think Anthony would probably say yes as well and do everybody a favour and end it all, for Mr. Paul in boxing. So, like I said, not really a fight we've been targeting, but if it's presented to us.
Sonnen adds another layer to the discussion by challenging the legitimacy of the whole situation. He argues that the buzz around this rumored fight grew far too fast, without any real confirmation from promoters or official bodies. He views the public reaction as a reflection of modern media culture, where rumors travel instantly and speculation is easily treated as truth. He notes that Joshua has always stood for the traditional principles of discipline, structure, and professionalism. For someone of his standing to suddenly shift toward a novelty matchup doesn't match the reputation he has built. Sonnen's doubt isn't aimed at the fighters themselves, but at the environment that turns every whisper into a global debate.
They can't, can it? Anthony Joshua could knock Jake Paul out with his dick. So if it goes any other way, You give me the headline there, by the way. If it goes any other way, it's fucking fixed, don't you? I know.
The conversation becomes even more significant today when voices beyond the core boxing world weigh in. Jamie O'Hara, recognized for his straightforward commentary, challenges the idea that Jake Paul deserves to be anywhere near a ring with Anthony Joshua. In his view, Paul's achievements, though impressive for a celebrity-turned-fighter, fall far short of the standard needed to face a former elite heavyweight champion. For O'Hara, this matchup,
YouTuber and doesn't deserve the right to be in a ring with Anthony.
Well, don't buy the fight then.
It's dangerous. I think it's a dangerous fight. We saw what Anthony Joshua had done to Francis Ngannou. This is a fight.
I know, but what I'm
People
saying
are going in there, their health is at risk.
But the only reason they're doing
put someone
it,
in there in a ring.
I know, Jay.
And you say the only reason we're doing it is for money. That don't sit right with me.
Fine, then don't buy it.
We've seen boxers die who got punched in the face. Fine. You want to make some money. Eddie Hearn, all that matchroom, they're going to make a fortune, right? Fine. Jake Paul's going to make a fortune. Anthony Joshua makes a fortune. I'm worried for Jake Paul getting seriously hurt. You are putting an amateur boxer in a ring with
Another fighter with first-hand experience managing both victory and adversity, Tyron Woodley, offers a more grounded viewpoint. He notes that confidence is a serious weapon, and any fighter who genuinely believes in their abilities can shock the world. Woodley cautions that Joshua must not overlook Paul simply because of the gaps in size, skill, and background. Even though Joshua is predicted to dominate, a fight is always a fight, and dismissing the chance of sudden moments can become dangerous. Woodley's perspective acts as a reminder that combat sports bring unpredictability no matter how mismatched things seem on paper. Fight goes down.
Right? Isn't that what we were all told? And I had reached out to Jake directly. But he didn't get back to me. I did get a response, but it was like, you know the response where somebody's like buying some time, or they just want to acknowledge, like they give you a receipt. I'm in receipt of your text message. They can give you an emoji or something like this, or sometimes there's even the automatic. I'm trying to remember what I got, but you can get like the automatic. I'll call you later. You know those? So even though I had said, hey, I'm looking for a confirmation of this fight, and he did respond, as I reflect back on that, it's like, well, he didn't respond confirming the fight. So who did confirm the fight? So I went to Helwani, and Helwani thought that it was confirmed, but he was a little lighter in the language than what I thought I remember hearing. And there's a number of boxing guys just saying, hey, that's not going to happen. And they had a few details, one of which was being Florida. And the Florida Commission would probably be open to something like this, particularly under the clause of exhibition, and then we'd all have to kind of hear, well, what are those rules and what are those stipulations? But that's reasonable to work with. But we haven't been able to get a confirmation from the Florida Commission, and now we're actually getting boxing guys on the inner circle. We're hearing from some British guys, from some fellow comrades to Joshua that said he wouldn't do that fight. He just wouldn't do that fight. That people would lose respect for him. That he has carried British boxing. This was one guy talking, but the guy said that Joshua has carried British boxing for 2 decades. And that while carrying British boxing on his back, if he was to go over and do a spoof fight against a YouTuber, now I don't look at Jake Paul that way. I look at him as a badass. I understand how greatly he is outmatched. I understand the lack of experience in comparison to Joshua. Believe me, I get it. But I don't dismiss him as a YouTuber, right?
Some analysts adopt a more technical stance, highlighting concerns about the weight gap between Joshua and Paul. Considering the massive difference in their natural sizes, many specialists insist the bout should follow exhibition guidelines for safety. Still, it seems the plan is to treat the meeting as an official professional boxing match, with every formal requirement included. These query conditions, as certain commentators describe them, relate to the elements that must be clearly set within the contract: weight, gloves, rounds, format, officiating, and overall stipulations that guarantee fairness. The concept of presenting such an uneven matchup as a legitimate fight raises concerns among purists who feel that certain standards should never be sacrificed.
No matter how mismatched things appear on paper.
The fight goes down. I mean, to be honest, when a fighter has belief in themselves, I never took Jake lightly. A lot of guys like, oh, he a YouTuber, he a Disney kid, but he does a good job of putting the smoke and mirrors up. He doesn't have anything limiting him from training, nutrition, training partners, coaches, and when you believe in yourself, and you're an athlete, and you can put those hours into the gym, that's a dangerous person to go against. And you look at Anthony, he may be taking them lightly, When you have somebody that's smaller than you, that's more agile than you and moving around, we don't know how Anthony's going to deal with that fight. Of course, with the boxing, the skill and experience has got to go with Joshua. But Jake
look what AJ done to Francis Ngannou, right? I'll put that to you. Do you not see that happening the same way with Jake Paul?
I mean, anybody can get caught with a punch. I got caught with a punch. Francis got hit with some shit, to be honest. So we didn't see a full fight. We didn't see, an exchange. We didn't see like we saw with Tyson Fury, where he, lasted most of the fight. So it's hard to judge off of that one. And they're such different fighters.
Simon Jordan presents one of the toughest criticisms of the idea that Joshua would even consider this matchup. Known for his bold, no-nonsense views, Jordan insists Joshua shouldn't pursue a fight that adds nothing to his legacy. In his opinion, combat sports must uphold standards, and when an established heavyweight champion entertains a challenge from a YouTuber turned boxer, it weakens the sport's competitive integrity. Jordan believes money alone shouldn't drive choices, particularly for someone whose career has already made a major impact on the sport's history in the United Kingdom.
I can't believe this is leaving my mouth. Anthony Joshua is going to be fighting Jake Paul. Now, this isn't even an exhibition bout. It's going to be on Netflix. It's going to be in Miami. It's going to be in December. And Jake Paul, if Anthony Joshua loses to Jake Paul, then that will not make any sort of sense whatsoever. Because on an athletic level, an experience level, a skill level, Anthony Joshua is several levels above Jake Paul. So surely this is going to be an exhibition bout. Surely this is going to be... There's surely going to be some shenanigans here. Because if Jake Paul gets into a real boxing match with Anthony Joshua, he's going to get absolutely destroyed. Like, there's no point in me... Like, I don't even need to break it down. What do you want me to break down here? And this is an easy payday for Anthony Joshua. And you know what? Fair play to him. People are going to criticise Anthony Joshua for fighting Jake Paul, but if he's really going to be fighting Jake Paul, which I don't think he is, then, bro, he can do whatever he wants to it. Literally. But then he just imagine... Oh, it's just crazy to think about. Fair play to Jake Paul, though, if this is a real boxing match. If I see exhibition attached to this... we'll know it's a sham. However, if I see that this is a real fight...
Others highlight the absurdity of the path Jake Paul appears to be following. Before turning his attention to Joshua, he targeted Francis Ngannou, a fighter whose power and physical force surpassed anything Paul had previously faced. Though Paul has pursued opponents with massive profiles, the gap between his skills and the athletes he challenges remains substantial. Observers note that Paul's habit of jumping between names and concepts raises doubts about whether he will stick to any plan he publicly mentions. This is why Eddie Hearn often views Paul's claims carefully. Jake may be driven, but his direction shifts constantly with mood, opportunity, or publicity goals.
It's about what Jake Paul does. And the reality is, there are 2 mega fights he's came very close to making in the last 12 months, and they weren't against Anthony Joshua or big motherfucking cruiserweights. They were against men smaller than him. Canelo Alvarez, which was fucking days away from being made, and Gervonta Tank Davis, who, if he hadn't have lost his last, or drawn his last fight rather, that fight would probably be made for this end of this year already. Both of them are mega money fights. Yes, they're much more skilled fighters than him, but he's got a big size advantage. You look at, a mega size advantage on Tank, even though Tank is, an amazing boxer. Canelo is looking older. He's probably thinking, fuck it. I'm in there with Canelo. Why the fuck not? It's calculated gambling, that. Yeah, you might still get your ass kicked, but at least you can have imagine a path to victory. And even if it is delusional, it's not Anthony Joshua delusional. The biggest fight for the most amount of money is his true goal. But when he talks about the world titles, it's more of a, why not? If I fucking get through that and I fucking still got my life intact, then why not roll the dice against a top guy? Badu Jack, for example, is a world champion. He is very over the hill. There's a fight I can imagine him maybe in a couple of years going, fuck it. If he's still champion, why not? But with the killers like Vidal Riley coming up...
The discussion expands further when former champion Tim Bradley comments on the turmoil surrounding Paul's career decisions. Bradley recalls how Paul's planned fight with Gervonta Davis collapsed, leading to major financial losses for broadcasters, sponsors, and event organizers. This incident, he says, shows why many in the industry approach Paul's declarations with caution. When a fighter with a huge digital presence abruptly moves away from confirmed agreements, ripple effects spread across the business side of boxing. Bradley believes a sport cannot function smoothly if major plans repeatedly fall apart without notice. From a strategic angle, some observers think a fight with Jake Paul could slightly help Joshua. Look,
Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight, although I would never advise Jake Paul to take a Anthony Joshua fight. I wouldn't advise him to take a Francis Ngannou fight either, because as much as Anthony is far better, which we saw when they actually fought, Joshua slept Francis Ngannou quicker than me after 2 melatonin. It was quick, fast, in a hurry, completely dominant. But we also saw Francis Ngannou go toe-to-toe with the heavyweight champion of the world at that time. Yes, he was out of shape. We understand that. But Tyson Fury on that night got the shock of his life when Francis Ngannou not only went toe-to-toe, but put him down and danced on him. To this day, I think that fight could have gone Francis's way. Point being, there are levels to this shit. Not just in boxing, but in combat in general. And the size difference Francis would have over Jake would be incredible, but it would have been a great event. And a lot of people would have tuned in. Francis, though, is saying that's not happening.
How can they go from Gervonta Davis to Francis Ngannou? Gervonta Davis is a fantastic boxer, and is a one-shot knockout artist. But come on, the weight different and everything, it make no sense.
It's a good point. Obviously, Francis is right about the weight difference, but it's a good point in general for what do you do next? Jake has sparred guys like Shakur Stevenson, Ray Ford, Montana Love to try to prepare for Tank Davis. And even if you book this fight on December 12th or December 19th, that's still a completely different fight than you were going into. Completely different matchup, size-wise, skill-wise.
Chris Algier points out that return to action after a gap requires rhythm and confidence. And a high-profile but manageable matchup may help Joshua regain his momentum. While facing an opponent far below his usual caliber doesn't enhance his legacy, it may give Joshua a chance to sharpen his instincts and re-enter the competitive mindset. Even so, Algier admits that the spectacle nature of the event overshadows any athletic merit may have.
On Tank real quick. You gotta be the dumbest dude, in the history of boxing, bro. $40 million, dog, down the drain. You gotta be the dumbest dude I've ever seen in the history of boxing, bro. Seriously. I'm like, $40 million, bro. Wealth. Literally wealth, bro. Going down the drain. I don't understand it. I can't make the... I don't understand it. But I'll tell you this. MVP promotions, whatever the hell y'all call it, most valuable promotions, shit, more like rookie promotions. Yeah, more like rookie promotions. You didn't know what you were dealing with. You had no clue. This has always been down Tank's alley, man. Now, let me just say one thing. You innocent until proven guilty. Ain't no charges been pending on Tank at all. But I'm just saying, this has always came up within the last few fights of Tank's career. Yeah, it has. And MVP, more like RP, rookie promotions, yeah, y'all should have had a backup plan. You should have had a backup fighter. Yup. You live and you learn. Oh, absolutely. You live and you learn. You should have had a plan B, just in case this man, Tank Davis, don't show up. Yeah. That's what you should have done. Now you're looking like idiots,
And re-enter the competitive mindset. Even so, Algieri admits that the spectacle nature of the event overshadows any athletic merit it may have.
How many rounds? What do you mean? It's going to be a fight. What are we talking here? Like, it's going to be an exhibition? No, it's a fight. You're a heavyweight. You're calling out heavyweights. You're calling out a heavyweight. You're calling out Anthony Joshua, former world champion. You're calling him out on short notice. It's a fight. You're going to wear 10-ounce gloves and you're going to fight 10 rounds. And that's what it is. I don't understand any idea of anything else. Oh, it's going to be 8-2s. Is it going to be 15-ounce gloves? What the hell are we doing? This is boxing. You want to fight a real guy? You're fighting a real guy, which I am very respectful, and I respect the hell out of Jake Paul if he does step in the ring with Anthony Joshua. No matter what happens, kid's got balls of steel, and I applaud you.
Well, the reason I say we don't know yet because Jake Paul has fought in his last fight with Gervonta Davis was going to be an exhibition. They had to do that because of the weight difference. This is still a weight difference here. Anthony Joshua.
There's not.
That's all for today's video. Keep watching. Until then,